All right, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Finding God, the first episode, if I may so call it, of the Defense series, right? The first episode of the Defense series. Finding God. How are we doing? If you can hear me, just so I know you can hear me and everything is good, because my device was messing up a minute ago. So if you can hear me, just drop an emoji. All right, let me know you are here. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know everything is good. All right, if something is up, just let me know. You can't hear me well. Maybe my video is cracking on your end and it's not network. Just let me know, because my device is acting funny. So I'm still expecting our emojis. All right, emojis. No, use the comment section so I'm sure. All right, use the comments feature. All right. I'm seeing some. So I'm sure we can hear me now. Great. Let's just wait a few moments for more people to join us. For more people. All right. Okay, so I'm just all right. So once more, people that just joined, if you can hear me, if everything is good on your end, just let me know. Drop an emoji in the chat section so that I know you can indeed hear me and everything is good on your end. All right. So if you can hear me, just let me know. Let me be aware. Is the audio good? Is everything great? While we are doing that, I want to do a little bit of shout out to people here. Elvis, my man, I see you. My guy, I see you. Letizia Tife, how you doing? Good evening. Thank you for coming. Oga Mercy, good to see you. Sir KD, man of God, good to see you. Jessica Mary, how you doing? Olaide, good to see you. Efosa, good to see you, my guy. Pemzi, good to see you. Fimikon, how you doing? Momo, how you doing? Sharon, how you doing? Momo and everybody on that side, if you get it, how are you doing? Olarwaju Michael, man of God, good to see you. How are you doing? How are you doing? All right, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Sharon. How are you doing? So I just want to I just want to say I appreciate everyone for coming. Thank you very much, and even for making it in time. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming. All right, so while we'll get right into it. Sorry, just a moment. Let me set this up here. While we get right into it, I know a lot of us might have seen prior to now, seen the flyer, seen the publicity about it, and all of that, and all of those things, right? And basically, this year, just as an introduction, this year we're going to be having on my Instagram page, all right, I'm going to be hosting, in case you didn't know before, right, I'm going to be hosting an apologetic series on Christian apologetics, where we'll be talking about giving a defense for issues concerning God and Christianity, giving a defense concerning issues concerning God and Christianity, defense for issues concerning God and Christianity. And somebody may ask, why do we actually do the things that we do? Why is there a need for defense of the faith? A lot of times, for even so long, a lot of people actually don't reckon with people who tend to have a contrary opinion concerning their faith. So a lot of people have, this idea that, if you say, you have doubts concerning God, or you have doubts concerning the things concerning that pertains to Christianity, then you just don't have enough faith. However, this is not entirely true. This is not entirely true, because we'll find that human beings are wired to have doubts. Human beings, our nature is required to, our nature requires us to ask how and why. All right. So, there's this type of people where, they will come and ask that, for example, the topic that we're treating today, is there a God, or how is there a God? And then their response is usually like, you don't have enough faith, so how can you be asking such a question? But they cannot defend it. And they think that the mere existence of doubt in that person's mind points to the deficiency of faith in the person's heart. But many times that is not the case. Many times it's just the case of the human mind as it was designed, or as it is, as the nature of the human mind is, to seek answers. And if he doesn't have the answers, to continue to seek. Right? It will continue to seek. So why apologetics? I'm giving an introduction before we get into the main topic. Why apologetics? Why are we doing this? Is it just to talk about things that are not beneficial to the Christian faith, or to people in general, or to the world at all? No. Why apologetics? Number one, as I said already, human beings are wired to ask why. So if there comes a person that starts asking questions about God, about the Christian faith, it is because the human mind is functioning as it should. Right? Even a lot of believers at one point or the other, I think I said this in the last apologetics live that I had on my page. A lot of believers, even the best of us, we wake up one morning and there is this slight thought in our heart that, is Christianity actually true? Is Jesus actually a real person? If you have had that thought at any point in time in your life, let me know. Just let me know in the comment section. If you had at any point in your life had that thought, if you have not had such a thought, you are a superhero. But if you have had that thought, let me just share a little bit of it in the comment section, in the chat function. So would see, I'll wait for it. All right, I'll be expecting it. Would see that human beings are wired, or automatically wired to have doubt. Right? So even the best of Christians, even the best people who attribute themselves to have faith, wake up some mornings and have doubts concerning the Christian faith. And if there are no answers long enough, the mind will wander off from that topic. So why are we doing this? The human mind is wired to ask why and how, and we must be able to answer the questions of the human mind of why and how. So the first contact point for why we are doing this is for ourselves, right? So that when those times come, and we have doubts concerning the things of God in our hearts, we have doubts concerning Christianity, we will be able to have answers to proffer to our mind. And secondly, on the other hand, we'll be able to communicate our faith to others. We'll be able to communicate our faith to others. So we meet some people I've met a number of people who had questions and seemingly had questions about God and Scripture. I've met a number of people who have had seemingly hard questions about God and Scripture, and they just want to know the truth. They just want to know the truth, really. And when in the absence of the answers to their questions, they tend to just go farther and farther away. So we are doing this, number one, to strengthen our own convictions and to be able to communicate our convictions. So when we focusing zooming in on today's topic, when we meet somebody on the road who says, "Oh, I don't believe in God, I don't think He exists," we'll be able to have logical and accurate arguments to be able to say, okay, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at where the evidence leads. All right, look at where the evidence leads. And also, if you are here and you are someone, you are that person who has had the questions, you are that person who has had, the questions about faith, about Christian, about God. Is this God real? Right? Does God actually exist, or is just a fairy tale in the sky, or a myth, just like tooth fairies or Santa Claus? Even it's just a story to keep our mind engaged that we were told as Christians, or sorry, as children rather. If you are here and you are that person, all right, we are taking, I'm going to take this time tonight. I just want you to keep an open mind, and for everyone else, right, keep an open mind to the evidences. Keep an open mind to the evidences that that we're going to lay plain. All right, just keep an open mind and see where the evidences lead. I'm not going to, it's not going to be anything of forcing. It's just presenting the evidence as they are, and then we'll see where the evidence leads us. All right, so we'll be going into it in a minute, but I just want to do some more shout outs. Joined while I was saying it. Pokola Taiwo, man of God, good to see you. Good to see you. Reverend Gideon joined. Good to see you. An honor to have you here. Moles Empire, good to see you. Ozemoya, good to see you. David Dobute, man of God, good to see you. Esther Kebukumi Adebowale, good to see you. Dunsin, good to see you. And everyone, my dad joined the live. Just let me say hi to Daddy. Thank you, sir, for coming. It's an honor to be here. Let me say hi to Daddy, guys. Tomilaya, good to see you. Good to see everyone here. All right. I'm not seeing the responses. I just want to be sure that we all can still hear me. Can we all still hear me? Thank you. Hi, Daddy. Can we all still hear me? Please let me know. If at any point you can't, just let me know. My device was messing up a moment ago. All right. I'm still waiting for responses. All right. Now, does God exist? Thank you very much. Does God exist, or is there a God? Is there a God? There used to be a time. There used to be a time where people actually believed or took to the notion that science. You hear people saying that science has told us that there is no God and there is no evidence for the existence of God, or science, or people even go to the extreme to say that science has proven that there is no God, right? After tonight's section, I believe you'll be able to see those people next time they make those statements and ask them. If they say, "Oh, scientists have proven that there is no God," and you ask them which one, and they should show you the which scientists have said that, and they should show you their works. Right? Why did I say all of these things? Because there are many reasons why people don't believe in God. Some of them is science, some of them are personal experiences, right? Oh, because I experienced this in life. Because I experienced this in life, if there was God, I was not supposed to experience this, but there is no God, so I experienced this. A lot of people do not believe in God for many reasons. But before narrowing in on those reasons, I just want to give like an overview of laying evidence, 3 arguments for the existence of God. So there are 3 arguments for the existence of God, and all these 3 arguments lie outside of the Bible. All right. So I'm scarcely going to be looking at the Bible to make arguments tonight. All right, I'm not going to be looking at the Bible to make arguments tonight, and so we're going to be looking at science and philosophy. All right, and I'm going to be saying a lot of things, a lot of English as it were. So I'll try as much as possible to simplify things so that we would what's it called, we'll be on the same level and we'll understand the things I'm saying, right? I'll try as much as possible to simplify things, but I'll just require us put on your thinking caps, all right, so that you know I'm not capping. Yeah. Put on your thinking caps, right? And please pay attention so that you'll be able to follow the things I'm saying, all right? Pay attention so that you'll be able to follow the things I'm saying. Now, as I said, there are many reasons for not there are many reasons for not believing in God, but we'll look at 3 major arguments for the existence of God, and most of them, as I said already, are philosophical and scientific arguments that majorly lie outside of the Bible, right? And then the first one, we're going to the first one. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right. The first one is, thinking caps, please. The first one is, before I say the first one, I just want to communicate that recently I've developed a particular interest in astrophysics, and I've all those times that you scroll, say a lot of people scroll reels or YouTube shorts on food and anything that they like, right? Some music, poetry, whatever it is. Sometimes I find myself scrolling through astrophysics and I enjoy it, right? And because of this, I think I may maybe categorize myself to be a nerd. maybe not. But I said all of that to say that I'll be saying, as I've already said this, but I want to emphasize, I'll be mentioning some terms, and I would, as much as possible, try to simplify things so that I'll be able to follow. All right, but please bear with me. If you don't understand something, let me know and I would explain even more. All right. David is already exposing himself to like food. Anyways, so the first argument for the existence of God is called the cosmological argument, derived from the word cosmos, which refers to the universe. So the cosmological argument takes evidences from the nature and the origin of the universe to explain the nature and the origin. Say the astrophysicist. Takes evidence from the nature and the origin of the universe to explain the existence of God, right? And it is founded on one major law, one major philosophy and law in science, which is the law of causality. The law of causality says, I'm already saying things, but please follow me. The law of causality says that whatever begins to exist must have a cause for existing. So the law of causality basically divides things into two, divides things that exist into 2 categories. The first category is that it had always existed and it has always been, right? And the second category, so the first category, it has always existed, it has always been, aka it is eternal. We cannot point to a point where it came into existence. It has just always been. And number 2, the law of causality, if it comes to being, the second category is that at some point it wasn't existing, and then at another point it came into existence. Do we get it? So the first one, it has always been. The second one, it wasn't existing before, but then at some point ontologically it came into being, right? So the law of causality basically points to the second one, that if anything comes to be, because it wasn't existing before and then at some point it came into existence, that means it must have a cause. If it had a beginning, it must have a beginner. You get it? So if it had a beginning, then it must have something that caused it to begin. So that's the law of causality. It's a law in science that goes like that. Now, applying it to the cosmos, applying it to the universe. How do we apply this to the universe? Well, scientists have over the years have had major discoveries in science that points us to the fact that the universe indeed had a beginning, that the universe does not exist eternally. So there was a point in time where the universe was non-existent, and then there's another point in time where the universe now began to exist, right? So there was a point in time where the universe was non-existent, and there was a point in time where the universe started to exist. And there are 5 main lines. There are 5 main lines of scientific evidence that points to the fact that the universe started existing the universe started existing at some point. Yes, if it had a beginning, it must have a beginner. There are 5 main lines of evidence that point to the fact that these are discoveries of scientists over the years, and they point to the fact that the universe had a beginning at a point. Ontologically, it wasn't existing before, and then it came to existence. And the 5 main lines are given the acronym SURGE, surge. All right, there are 5. They are interrelated, but there are 5 unique, or should I say distinct, aspects of science and astrophysics, or cosmology, as it were. Again, don't be scared by all these things I'm saying. I will simplify them as much as I can. Right, there are 5 SURGE, 5 main lines of discoveries of sciences that point to the fact that the universe indeed had a beginning. The first one, S, is the second law. The first one, S, is the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics is something that many of us, if you went to secondary school in Nigeria, and you probably were a science student, you probably have encountered the law of thermodynamics at some point, right? So just as a recap, and for people who have never encountered it, don't worry, we did together, all right? So I would simplify it as much as I can. Now, the second law of thermodynamics basically says that entropy, I'm simplifying this, I'm making it as simple as it can be. It's basically saying that entropy in an isolated system would always increase. What does entropy even mean? Relax. Entropy is, in simple terms, the state of disorderliness. I'll paint a relatable scenario. So imagine, many of us can relate to this. Imagine you have a bowl of hot water, right? And you drop a large chunk of ice in it. A bowl of hot water, and you drop a large chunk of ice in the bowl of water. What do you think would happen? The heat from the hot water, right, would transfer to the ice and melt it, right? And melt it. So the heat in the hot water is let's call it energy now. So the energy in the hot water is being transferred to the ice. Now ice, the body of ice is not in a fluid, is in a solid state, right? It's not in a liquid state yet. It's in a solid state. So there seems to be a sort of orderliness in the composition of the ice because it is together, it is compact. But then as the energy or heat in this form, I hope I'm painting the picture, as the energy or the heat in this form is flowing from the hot water to the ice water, the orderliness in the ice begins to decrease, right? So eventually it decreases and decreases. So that is entropy, the state of disorderliness, basically. So the orderliness in the ice begins to decrease, and eventually, if you leave it long enough, if you leave the ice in the hot water long enough, it would completely melt, right? And then it will become water, right? It will become water, and at the same time as well, the hot water would lose its heat or energy, and basically nothing interesting will be able to occur anymore. So it's not going to, at that point, the energy or the heat is already lost because entropy has reached the maximum, or the disorderliness that was in the orderliness rather that was in the ice before has decreased up to a point that it can no longer decrease, basically, except additional heat is added to it. But it is an isolated system, so if I'm too fast or you don't understand something I'm saying, don't worry, I'll take the time to explain. Just let me know. All right. But as I was saying, there is no additional heat, there is no external heat or coldness that is applied to the hot water and the ice, right? So what do we observe that is happening in this mini experiment that you're already painting in your mind, right? You find out that the heat in the hot water decreases because of the ice, and the orderliness in the ice also decreases because of the heat, and it will reach to a point where everything will have the same heat and the disorderliness will be at max. And so the heat or the energy that was implemented to the ice is no longer there, and then nothing interesting would happen again in the hot water and the ice, because both of them are now water, neither hot, neither cold. Do we get the point? So basically, I said all of that to explain the second law of thermodynamics. So basically, the second law of thermodynamics states that entropy or disorderliness in an isolated state system, if no external force is added to it, would continue to increase, and a point will come where energy will not be useful anymore. Energy in the case of the ice, hot water and ice, is the heat from the hot water, and then nothing interesting or nothing useful, no work will be able to be done anymore. How can we apply this to the universe? I hope we get my illustration. I hope that was simple enough for us to understand. And why am I think stating the 5 main lines and explaining to us in the most simple forms will make us understand what I'm trying to say. So please follow me. I'm trying to be as simple as I can, please. Now, if apply that, when we apply that that thing that I just explained with hot water and the ice to the universe, right? Now, we're trying to point to the fact that the universe had a definite beginning and it is not eternal. Now, if the universe was eternal, then it had already had enough time. So the ice in our hot water would have already had enough time to have melted, and then the heat or energy would have been lost to do anything useful again in the universe. But when we look at the universe, we see that the sun is still shining brightly, still shining hot. The universe is still spinning around. Life, new galaxies are even starting to form as some parts of the universe. When we bring it home, we see that new plants are still growing every day because of the sun, right? People are giving birth to all of these things are the product, or the direct product of energy being dispensed. So scientifically, when we look at this evidence, we see that energy is still very much available on Earth. Energy is still very much available in our universe. So that point, that tells us that if the universe was eternal, right, the energy would already have been dissipated and there will be no useful form of energy anymore. If you understand what I'm saying, please let me know. If you don't be shy to let me know, all right? But the fact that we still find useful energy in our universe points us to the fact that universe had a definite beginning, because if not, we would have already reached a point where the energy that is needed to do certain tasks like giving birth, raising new plants, the wind moving around, all of those energy would have been dissipated already. If you get what I just said, just type in "I hear" or "I get it," right? Just let me know I was simple enough, and if not, I need to simplify it more. You understand? Very beautiful, Tomlaya. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. So the fact that energy is still present in the universe, following the second law of thermodynamics, points us to the fact that that the universe had a beginning. If it had always been, the universe was eternal, didn't have a point where it came to existence, the energy should have been dissipated already. Do we get the gist? We get the gist. Basically, so the fact that there's still, I'm reading my notes now, the fact that there's still useful energy shows that the universe had a beginning. So is it only Tom Lyle that understood? Oh, okay. I think responses are getting to me late. That's great. Thank you. I'm happy you got it though, because I was scared that people get this thing like this. Great. If you got that, it gives me hope that you get every other thing I'm about to say. Second, SURGE, right? The search 5 main points for pointing to the fact that the universe had a beginning. The universe is expanding. That's what U stands for. The fact that, or the expanding universe. Universe is expanding. And scientists and cosmologists have come to the common understanding that the universe is actually expanding. that the universe is expanding. And how did they know this? So there is a famous scientist called Edwin Hubble, who was the originator. You can check him out. Edwin Hubble, Hubble. He created, I think he pioneered the use of the Hubble. He used the equipment at the time, I think they named it after him, Hubble telescope or something like that. But then Edwin Hubble pioneered this discovery using the largest telescope in the time. This was in 1920s, right? Using the largest telescope, he observed, looked into space. If you don't know what a telescope is, they used to look into space and look at things that are far, right? He observed. What did Edwin find, right? Edwin found that he could observe galaxies that were far from us. Galaxies that were far from Earth. That galaxies were actually moving farther away from us. So if you take a telescope now, as powerful as it is, I'm sorry, I'm looking everywhere because my notes are here, right? If you take a telescope and look farther away, and you can identify galaxies, or even galaxies that are outside of our own galaxy, you find out that they are moving farther away. So this brought Edwin to, and scientists that agree with him brought him to the point of, from that evidence, they see that the galaxies are moving farther away on all directions. Things around us that are not in our solar system and are not in our planet are moving farther away in all directions. And then it brought them to the point, or to the fact, that the universe is expanding. So if the universe is expanding, and so how does this tell us that the universe at the beginning? Now, if the universe is uniformly expanding as at the time that we are in now, if let's assume the universe is expanding is a movie. Title of the movie is Universe is Expanding, right? Directed by Edwin Hubble, 1920. And then you're watching the movie, and then you saw a part that you didn't get, or maybe I started watching the movie and then you were not there in the beginning, and then you just came in and said, oh, I want to watch from the beginning. What do? We press rewind. So imagine it now that you are seeing this movie by Edwin Hubble, 1920, universe is expanding. I said, oh, the universe is expanding, and so what happened before then? Then you press rewind. What you would find out is that instead of expanding, because you are taking it backwards, so we are going back in time, universe will start contracting. So it will start going, instead of expanding, it would do the opposite, right? And what that tells us is that if we rewind the universe enough, if we rewind it as far back enough, we will get to a point where, so let's say this universe, as wide as my hand, is expanding and expanding and expanding. If we rewind it enough, it will get to a point where the universe was at one uniform point, and that would be nothing else but the beginning, or what a lot of scientists call the Big Bang, right? So if we rewind time, if we rewind the universe expanding movie directed by Edwin Hubble far back enough, we would find a point where the universe was all of the universe were together in one point and not expanding before it started expanding. Do we get the point? So the fact that the universe is expanding and we're able to trace it points us to the fact that universe indeed had a beginning. That's the second main line of for those that are just joining out. I think I'll just explain where we are discussing three arguments for the existence of God, and the first one is the cosmological argument, which, as the name implies, takes to the cosmos, which is the universe, to explain God. And basically it is based on the fact that the universe had a beginning, and following the law of causality, if the universe had a beginning, it must have a beginner. Or if the universe came to being at some point, it had a cause. It didn't come to be by itself, right? So that is what we're talking about, and we're talking about the 5 main points for the beginning of the universe. We've spoken about the second law of thermodynamics. We just spoke about the fact that the universe is expanding. It's given the acronym SURGE, SURGE. Second law of thermodynamics, universe is expanding. radiation, afterglow, great galaxy seeds, and last one, Einstein's. Oh, I've not told everybody the full meaning before. Einstein's theory of general relativity. Right. So we just spoke about the universe is expanding. Now moving to the third point, because time is running out. Radiation afterglow. Now, radiation afterglow is a phenomenon that has been discovered by scientists in space. So they use they're also called cosmic microwave background radiation, CMB radiation, or simple terms, radiation afterglow. And you understand why they call it afterglow. But it's a phenomenon that they've observed in space, that there is a sort of residue of heat in space. Heat that, has a uniform temperature, however, it has fluctuations at different points. But, there is a residue of heat in space, and they can trace that heat to the origin of the universe, which a lot of scientists call the Big Bang Theory. So, there is heat in space because at the beginning of the universe, as the theory leads, at the beginning of the universe, there was great heat that made the universe come into being, right? And after a lot of time, the heat still remains, right? And we are even able to map and track that heat that is remaining in space. So you know how you turn on a cooker in the kitchen and then you turn it off, but it doesn't immediately, you are cooking something, it doesn't immediately get cold. So in the same way it was, how do I say this now? In the same way the universe was cooked in the beginning. So the heat from the beginning of the cooking, the cooker has been turned off because the universe is already cooked. But then the heat is still remaining and we can see the heat. So if you come after 5 minutes, you'll still find, some amount of heat on the boiler plates. If it's an electric boiler or something like that, you get the illustration. Now, because the heat is still left, I'll read out what NASA, wrote about the radiation afterglow. I think I'll be able to simplify the radiation afterglow. If you get it, let me know you get it. If you don't get it, don't forget about it. Please let me know that you get it as well. Right, so concerning radiation afterglow, NASA wrote that by studying, now I'm quoting what NASA, in case you don't know NASA is the organization that is majorly responsible for sending astronauts and what's it called now? Things into space, right? It's called the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, right? They are independent. They run over time before SpaceX, Elon Musk, and other people like Japan and all of those things. They were like the main guys of space exploration. So NASA, in case you didn't know them before. So NASA wrote that by studying the fluctuations, the fluctuations that are in the radiation afterglow, as I said, the heat is still remaining, but there are still fluctuations that are in the heat. So they said about studying the fluctuations in the radiation afterglow, cosmologists can learn about the origin and large-scale structures of galaxies. And they can measure the basic parameters of the beginning of the universe, or as they call it, the Big Bang Theory. What does all this big English mean? There is still heat remaining in the universe, and because the heat is remaining in the universe, we can deduct that the universe had a beginning, because the heat can be traced to the beginning of when the cooking started. You get the point. All right, you get the point. Now we would have time for questions, because I think except I'm misunderstanding this Chief Okonkwo's comment, but we'll still have time for questions, right? We'll definitely have time for questions after all of this. So if you have your questions, please keep them, or you can use the question and answer section of the live. Just drop your questions there. Once I'm done, I'll click on them and answer each one. So as the questions are coming to you, drop it there and I will answer right at the end of the live. So in case you don't, so that you won't forget, the stuff is still there. The what's it called, feature for questions and answers are there. Now, radiation afterglow, I think we get it now. The heat is still remaining in space, and we can trace it to the beginning of the universe. The first one, GSURG. G stands for Great Galaxy Seeds, or in simple form, the seeds of great galaxy. You know how you want to plant a crop? It's, let's say, àgbàdo now. You want to eat maize. For people that don't know what àgbàdo is, you want to take corn, right? You plant the seed and then germinate. Same goes for most of the plants that we have. So why are they called seeds, and what do they even mean? Now, this is very much related to radiation afterglow. Remember that I said that the heat remaining in space and in the universe has fluctuations at different points, right? Now, these different fluctuations are what are referred to as great galaxy seeds. And why are they called seeds? They are called seeds because those fluctuations are what was responsible for galaxies to form. So without those fluctuations, galaxies would not have come into existence. So because, the heat was a lot at the beginning, and there are fluctuations in the heat. Because of those fluctuations, it was not the irregularities basically in the heat made galaxies to form, right? And so they are called seeds because the presence of them birthed galaxies. So the presence of your maize seed in the soil births the crop and the stems and the leaves and everything. Do we get it? So the great galaxy seeds are basically the variations or the fluctuations in the radiation afterglow, or the heat that still remains in the radiation afterglow. Do we get it now? So the seeds show that the explosion and expansion of the universe was precisely adjusted to cause enough matter to congregate to all galaxy formation, but not enough to cause the universe to collapse on itself. Basically, we'll still talk. This is pointing to the second argument that I will pose. But at the end of the day, great galaxy seeds points, lead us to the evidence that the universe had a beginning. Now, the last one, I know some people are already thinking, what is all this? Waiting be this, But just stay with me, right? You'll get where I'm going. We're already on the last point of the 5 main points for the evidence. 5 main lines of evidence that the universe had a beginning. Now, Einstein's theory of general relativity. If you've probably heard, if you watch, sci-fi movies or sci-fi documentaries, you've probably heard this before. And if you did physics too, secondary school, probably had Einstein's theory of relativity before. But then, in simple terms, let me paint another illustration so that we'll get it. And we'll not complicate ourselves with all the jargon. Einstein's theory of general relativity basically tells us about space-time and the relation with matter, right? So it even has a lot to do with how space, the nature of space, and even gravity in space. So basically, the best illustration that I've seen for this, is to explain Einstein's theory of relativity between space and matter, space-time and matter. Is, if imagine this now, paint this scenario again in your mind. Imagine there's a large bed sheet. 4 people are holding the bed sheet tight at the corners. So the bed sheet is levitating in the air, and 4 people are holding it on the ends, right? If you put a very heavy ball in the middle of the bed sheet, what will happen to the sheet? It would, have a dent, That point will go down in the bed sheet, right? And basically that is how gravity works. And I will explain how. Why am I saying all of this? Please, some people are maybe saying, what is all of the people that are joining? Is this related to what we are talking about? It is, and you'll find out if you stick around long enough. Now, if there was the heavy ball was not on the bed sheet, you took away the heavy ball and then you took a smaller ball, right? You want to roll the smaller ball, you want to roll it on the bed sheet from one end to another so that it will fall off. If the ball was not there, what would happen? It would go freely, right? It will most likely, roll from one point to the end and even fall off if the force was enough. But with the presence of the big ball in the middle that is already carving the surface of the bed sheet rather, what would happen? The smaller ball, the trajectory or the direction of the smaller ball will be changed because the bigger ball is in the middle and it's carving the material of the bed sheet. So that just paints an example of how gravity works and how large cosmic objects like suns and stars and planets have gravity, and because of those gravity they can pull objects to themselves, right? So gravity is now being explained by the bending of space. Now is the bed sheet, right? Now is the balls on the bed sheet. Are you getting it? And gravity is explained by how much they can bend the bed sheet. So gravity is basically how much matter can bend space. And so the bigger it is, or the larger the mass of the ball, the more curve or the more bending would happen to space. Do we get what I'm saying? If you get it, please let me know you get it. Right. So the larger the mass, or the heavier it is, the more bending it will be. So the larger the mass in the universe as well, the more gravity it commands. Now, how does this even relate to the beginning of the universe? Now, if Einstein's theory of relativity explains to us how space is, and then we can observably, with Edwin that I mentioned earlier concerning universe is expanding, we can observably see that the space is actually stretching out. So the bed sheet, the four people holding it at the corners are pulling it and stretching it out more and more. Now, if we put that on rewind again, right? If we put that on rewind again, we'll see that the bed sheet, is contracting, would contract to a definite point. Do we get it? The bed sheet will contract to a definite point, and that definite point would be the beginning of the universe. Now, the 5 main lines again: second law of thermodynamics, the universe is expanding, radiation afterglow, great galaxy seeds, Einstein's theory of relativity. All of these things are discoveries of scientists over the years that point to the fact that the universe indeed had a beginning. That point to the fact that the universe indeed had a beginning. Now, if the universe had a beginning, what is the big deal about it? How does it tell us about the existence of a God and not? Let's go back to the law I mentioned in the beginning, the law of causality that many scientists agree upon, that if anything comes to be, then it must have a cause. That's why it's called law of causality. If anything began to exist at any point, it must have a reason or a beginner, something that made it to come into being. Now, all the evidence that we have leads to the fact that the universe indeed had a specific time, had a definite moment where it all came to start. All the evidence that we have points to the fact, I'll say it again, that the universe had a definite moment where it came to start. Right? Now, if the universe had a definite moment where it came to start, following the law of causality, it must have a cause. Something caused it to be. Now, a lot of scientists now say that, a lot of people can now argue that, the universe, and you probably heard this concerning the Big Bang theory, that the universe came into being by laws of nature and it was a natural accident. But wait, hold up. If we say the universe and everything in it came to being, came to existence at a point, right? And before that point, ontologically, before that point, everything, universe and everything in it were non-existing. Nature itself is contained in the universe. So that means that nature before the universe did not exist. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It means that nature before the universe came into being did not exist. So the creation of universe itself could not have been a natural accident, because nature itself was not existing before the universe. Does it make sense? Guys, talk to me. Does it make sense? So it could not have been a natural accident because nature itself was not existing ontologically before the universe began. So that defeats the argument that, that totally defeats the argument that it was a natural accident. So why can't natural forces have produced the universe? Because there was no nature before the existence of the universe. So for it to be responsible for the creation of the universe, nature had to occur before the universe existed. But the universe, nature is contained in the universe. Does it make sense, guys? Talk to me. Nature itself was created at the beginning, or when people will call the Big Bang. Now, this means that the cause of the universe must be beyond nature. What this means that the cause of the universe must be beyond nature, or what we may call supernatural. Do you get it now? Now, a lot of people now say, okay, a lot of arguments, scientists argue that, okay, we agree, right? Of course, following the law of causality, the universe came to be, it must have a cause, but we don't know anything about the nature of what caused it. So they are trying to deny that, they argue that all of the evidence that we have, they tell us that there is a cause. I've even read some funny arguments that for all we know, some atheist scientists sort of were saying that for all we know, it could have been some depressed purple giraffes. I kid you not, those were the exact words that they used. Depressed purple giraffes that created the universe. And so they argue that the law of causality, following the evidence that we have for the beginning of the universe, tells us nothing about the nature of what caused the universe. But I beg to differ. I beg to differ that the nature of the cause is actually very much evident from the nature of the universe. And what do I mean? So as I said already, if nature as we know it, natural things were not existing before the beginning of the universe, then the cause of the universe must be beyond nature and is supernatural. Number one, that already tells us one thing. You get purple giraffe, so interesting. That already tells us one thing about the cause, that it is supernatural, it is beyond nature. And at the point of the existence of the universe, when the Big Bang, as many call it, happened, that was the time that time, space, and matter came to existence. Time, all of those things came to existence at an instant. Time what's it called now? Time and space and matter came to existence in the point at a certain point. So we cannot say that there is no argument to say that they all independently came into being, because time, space, and matter are not mutually exclusive, right? They have to exist, because if there's time and there's no space, where would you put? If there's matter and there was no space, where would you put it? If there was matter and no time, when would you put it? All of those. So at the point of the Big Bang excuse me, at the point of the Big Bang, time, space, and matter came to be. So if what caused the universe created time, space, and matter, it definitely tells us that the cause, or whatever brought the universe into existence, is timeless, because it is outside of time, or it had the power to create time itself. It is spaceless, because it created space and it is outside of it. right? And it is immaterial. It is not matter because it created matter itself. And it is what? Guess what? It is outside of it. So the law of causality obviously tells us about the cause for the universe. And Dr. Frank Turek even adds, Dr. Frank Turek is one of the leading apologists in the world. And then he even adds some more attributes to the nature of what the cause is. And I'm going to read the list. So it says the list he made concerning the nature of the cause. So it says as I said already, it is the cause, right, for the universe is existence rather. It exists on its own. It's timeless beyond time. It's non-spatial or spaceless. It is beyond space. It is immaterial because the cause itself created time, space, and matter. It is, Dr. Frank Turek put it like this: it's unimaginably powerful because it created nature, time, space, and matter, all the laws of physics that are associated with nature, all the magnificent things that we see in the universe. So it has to be unimaginably powerful to create all of these things. Supremely intelligent to design the universe with such incredible precision that you look at the universe and you say, the person that did this finished work. If you get what I mean, that the universe, and I'll talk about this. This is the second argument: intelligent design for the existence of God. The universe from observation seems so intricately designed that it could not have been an accident. That all of the things that came to be became, that somebody, an intelligent mind has to be behind it. So taking from intelligent design, we can say that the cause of the universe too is supremely intelligent. And the last one, the cause of the universe is personal. What does that mean? Because it could choose to create the universe. So it's timeless, spaceless, immaterial, supernatural, self-existent, supremely intelligent because of the design, personal because it chose to create the universe. Now, all of these things that we've mentioned, guess where the evidence leads, or who does this sound like? All of these things are consistent with the nature of the God of the Bible. Timeless, spaceless, immaterial, personal, supremely intelligent, unimaginably powerful, self-existent. Don't you guys think so? All of these things are directly you get it? It is concerned with the of God of the Bible. All of these things, and none of these things were taken from the context, from observations of science and logic, observation of science and logic. Do you get it now? You get it? All of these things are consistent with the nature of the Bible. Notice that we take from scripture to explain, observe the science and apply it to it. Now I've answered this question before. People now, okay. If you say or you claim that there is a God, then who made God? Or where did God come from? If such an a before, let me where comes from. I was on the room camp, NYC orientation camp, and somebody we were having a conversation in the room, the hostel I was in, and there was this guy. It was asking questions about God, and then I made a statement. I said, of Christians, I said about God, even give me that question. But here we are answering the question. So now, if you've heard that question before, just can you still hear me, please? Because I'm seeing that on my device. I don't know what's going on. wasn't been like this before the life started. You're a liar, devil. If you can still hear me, please let me know, alright? I've encountered such a question. Also, now, if we say that, the origin of the universe as the evidence leads us to, you can't hear me? Oh my god. So, is anyone else like that can't hear me? My. It's cracking. My god. This is bad. Bad. You can now. It's clear now, right? Alright, so for how long was it cracking? So that I will know where you guys, or could you guys follow despite the stuff? Alright. Oh my god, for how long was it doing that? What were the things that you guys heard last before it started cracking, so that I'll know where to retrace my steps to? Talk to me, guys. But it has been happening for a long time. I want to know before I continue, so that we will not lose any part of this. And time is running out. My god. NYC something. Okay, it's not too far behind. Now, if it happens again, please just let me know, right? So as I was saying that, at the NYC orientation camp, I met a guy who was asking all the sort of questions concerning about God and Christianity, and then I made a statement, and I said to him that there's practically no question that can be asked about God and Christianity that has not been asked and addressed in the over 2,000 years of existence of Christianity. And then it was like, what kind of confidence is this? Why? And it is true. If you check it, it has been addressed at one point or the other in the over 2,000 years of the existence of Christianity. There's no question. I don't believe there is. Virtually no question. Let me be liberal. And then this guy was like, what about the question of where did God come from? Right? He did not, avail me the opportunity to answer the question. But here we are answering the question. So, following the evidence of the law of causality and where it leads us, that God is the most probable cause for the universe, then people now ask, okay, where did God come from? From whence cometh this God? Who made God? If everything needs a cause, then God must need the cause too. But remember, I said something in the beginning, that the law of causality, there are two things involved. Number one, there are two types of things. One, something that exists but has always been. It needs no beginning, or beginner rather, and something that comes to be. We can trace it to the fact that there was a definite beginning for this. Now, the atheist argument misunderstand the law of causality. The law of causality does not say that everything that exists must have a beginning. It says that everything that comes to be must have sorry, I'll take that again. The law of causality does not say that everything that exists has a cause. It says everything that comes to be has a cause, right? And understand that there are two types of things in this regard. So everything that comes to be has a cause. Now, this takes us now to the law of first cause. There's a law of causality and there's a law of first cause. They are slightly related, but they are different and distinct. The law of first cause says that if everything has a cause, right? The law of first cause says if everything has a cause, then this is not exactly how it is. I'm paraphrasing now. If everything has a cause, then if everything virtually has a cause, then let's say this is the first thing that exists, then For it to exist, it must have a cause. Then this is the cause. This also must have a cause. And then if we keep piling it up and piling it up, tracing the cause after cause after cause, we would begin to infinitely trace causes. If you get what I mean. So it's going to be an infinitely long line. Excuse me. It's going to be an infinitely long line of causes. So, there's a philosophical standpoint that points us to the fact that you need that there has to be a first cause, something that stands at the top of all of the causes that caused everything to happen. Does that make sense, guys? If you get that, let me know. If you get what I just said, let me know. So basically, if this pen existed, it must have a cause. That cause must also have a cause. That cause as well must also have another cause. But then that will generate, that's following the law of causality, that will generate an infinite number of causes. So the law of first cause tells us that there has to be an uncaused cause. The cause that is standing at the top of the line that was not caused by anything. And that is what we call the first cause. If that makes sense, let me know. Did you get that? Can we still hear me? If that makes sense, let me know. Did you get that? If you did not, let me know as well, and I'll find a way to take that again. Alright, while waiting for you, I think I'll just go ahead because time is running out. Now, the law of, okay, it makes sense. Thank you, Joel. Thank you very much, Joel. Thank you, Precious. Now, the law of first cause tells us that there is a first cause, as the name implies. There's a cause at the top of all the causes. Now, following the law of causality, and the law of first cause, some scientists even agree. I think I've already said this before. Some scientists agree that there has to be a first cause. There has to be a first cause, something at the beginning that caused every other thing after it. But they don't admit that it's God. And sometimes they say that it could be the universe itself. That why, if something has to be the uncaused cause, why can't it be the universe? Why can't it be that, and some philosophers and atheists say this, why can't it be that it's the universe that has always been and did not in the beginning? But the evidences that we've already laid down already show us that the universe indeed is not eternal. The universe indeed had a beginning, so it could not be the uncaused cause. So something that stands outside of the universe, something that is not in the universe, has to be the uncaused cause, has to be the first cause. Do you make sense? So you get the argument and how it goes now. So they say, okay, why can't the universe itself be the uncaused cause? That's why you hear some people saying the universe told me this, the universe told me this, funny stuff. But the argument doesn't go through because evidence, scientific discoveries have already proven and points have already proven, and they actively point us to the fact that the universe indeed had a beginning. So the universe is not the uncaused cause. The universe is the one that was caused. If you get it. So I wrote it here in my note that God is the uncaused cause. God did not come to be because he's outside of the universe. No one made God. He's unmade. When we say where does God come from, we assume that there is a kind of space that he dwells from, or ontologically speaking, that from when, at what point in time did he start existing, or who created him? All of this comes to the assumption that he's bound by time, space, or matter, and ignoring the fact that there has to be an uncaused cause or a first cause. So the argument who made God, or where does God come from, is actually not an accurate question considering the argument. Does that make sense? Let me know if that made sense to you. So a lot of people will now come to say that there are a lot of discrepancies between the Big Bang and the story that a lot of people say. See, if you say, and for a long time there has been this argument. If that makes sense, I still want to know, right? If it doesn't, let me know. There are still arguments about the fact that the Big Bang theory a lot of us who know what it means, that the Big Bang Theory is like the story of the origin of the universe and stuff. And for a lot of times, people have said that the Big Bang Theory, contradicts what Christians believe. And somebody might be thinking that you have been saying Big Bang Theory since, and you're not a Christian. Well, see, the thing is that if you say if you say you believe in the Big Bang, where we will differ is that I know who banged it. Alright? I know who banged it. Glory to God. The evidence leads us right that there is a cause that banged the Big Bang. Right? So if you say you believe in the Big Bang, I won't argue. Where we just differ is I know who banged it. Alright? Great. Now, we are closing up on and I'm intentionally spending a lot of time on this first argument. There are still two other arguments. We won't spend as much time on them, but I'm intentionally spending because this is the technical one, or most technical one, relatively speaking, and I think it's quite interesting, and it also overlaps the other in a way, and it's the most popular one that is usually countered. The cosmological argument. But people are feeling me. It's not my code social. But yeah. Now I want to mention some famous scientists and some of the things that they've said concerning this cosmological argument, the study of the cosmos and how it came to be. And I'll just mention a number of them. And please listen to I'm going to read their quotes. So listen to what they had to say. Now, Dr. Jastrow, and some of these scientists were not even Christian. A number of them were atheists. A number of them were agnostic. Agnostic is person, atheists. There are two types of people: agnostic and atheist. They are slightly related, but they are not the same. Atheists say that there is no God. Agnostics say that they don't know whether there is a God, and there is no way to find out. So agnostics say that there is no knowledge about the existence of God, and there's no way to have the knowledge. Do you get? It tends more to atheism than not, but that's different. So a lot of these scientists that I'm about to quote are not even Christian. They are not believers. They are agnostic and atheists. But here's what they had to say. Now, the first one is Dr. Robert Jastrow. He is, I think, an astronomer and a cosmologist. He succeeded, Edwin Hubble that I mentioned in the beginning. This was his successor in one of the places that Edwin used to work. Now, Robert Jastrow wrote something. Edwin Hubble was the one that made discovery about the universe expanding and all of that. So Robert Jastrow said something. He wrote a book called God and the Astronomers. He was an agnostic, and in that book he mentioned the fact and admitted the fact that he was agnostic. Now, he said God and the Astronomers. Now, Jastrow reviewed the evidences of the SURGE that we reviewed already, the surge, the 5 main points for the beginning of the universe. And here's what he has to say. He said, pay attention. He said, now we see how the astronomical evidence leads to a biblical view of the origin of the world. He said the details differ, but the essential elements in the astronomical and biblical accounts of Genesis are the same. The chain of events leading to man commenced suddenly and sharply at definite moments in time in a flash of energy and light. So at the end of the day, he's saying that the evidences from the SURG main points for the beginning of the universe point us to the fact that they align a lot to Genesis and the story of the beginning. Note that this guy was not Christian. So for people that say because he's Christian, he's having biased answers. He was not Christian. He even said in an interview again, I'm intentionally quoting this quote of people that are not Christian so that we would, see that it is not actually a biased way of looking at it. It's just following. We have the evidence. Let's follow it where the evidence goes. Do we get it? We have the evidence, so let's follow where the evidence leads. That's what these guys did. They had an open mind to it, though they were not Christians or believers as it were, but they had an open mind to it. And that was why I advise that if anyone is here who is atheist or agnostic concerning these things and had doubt, looking for answers, just keep an open mind. All right. I saw something. I'm not sure I remember it as accurately as it should, but then it goes something like this: in looking for truth, or in looking for answers, you find truth. So if you keep your mind open to answers, you will find the truth. You will find the truth. So he said, Jastrow, the same guy, agnostic, he said in another interview, time is running out and I apologize, please just stay with me till the end. I promise you will regret it. You won't. Jastrow said in another interview, he said, astronomers now find that they have painted themselves into a corner because they have proven by their own methods that the world began abruptly in an act of creation, to which you can trace the seeds of every star, every planet, every living thing in this cosmos and on the earth. And they have found out that all of this happened as a product of forces they cannot hope to discover. Remember when I said that the beginning of the universe directly points to the fact that it was supernatural, because nature came to being at the point when the universe started existing. So nature could not have been responsible for the universe because nature was not existing before the universe. So he's saying that the universe is the product of forces that scientists cannot hope to discover. This was a scientist too, not just any old guy, and a reputable one as that, because he succeeded Edwin Hubble. Now it says that there are what I or anyone will call supernatural forces is at work. Is now, I think, a scientifically proven fact. In other words, he said that supernatural power is now scientifically proven. How wonderful is that? Joshua says that supernatural power, the fact that supernatural power is at work, is now scientifically proven. Again, I say, how wonderful is that? Now, another guy, I'm quoting, I still have a number of them to quote. So another guy, Arthur Eddington, although he found it distasteful to admit this, but this is what he said. He's a general relativity expert, another conk scientist, and he says he wasn't Christian as well. But he said this, he said the beginning of the universe seems to present difficulties, insuperable difficulties, unless we agree to look on it as frankly, what he said, as frankly supernatural. That's another guy. Another guy, Robert Wilson. Is this even a Nobel Prize winner, award winner in physics, responsible for radiation afterglow and all of those? He said certainly there was something that set the universe off. There was something that began the universe. Certainly, he says, if you are religious, I can't think of a better theory of the origin of the universe to match with Genesis. These guys are scientists. They are not, you get, a number of them are not Christians, are not believers. A number of them are atheists and agnostic. But here's what they had to say. George Smoot, another Nobel Prize winner, conk scientist, responsible for great galaxy seeds, he agreed with Robert Wilson, and he said there is no doubt that a parallel exists between the Big Bang as an event and the Christian notion of creation from nothing. These are scientists saying things. A number of them are not Christians, as I'm emphasizing, saying things that point us to the fact that the evidences lead us, right? Evidences lead us to the fact that there was a beginning. And the beginning points us to the fact that there was a beginner, the person that began or made everything to start, to come into existence. Do we get this? And they are all admitting. In fact, there's one more quote that I've not read, and I think this, out of all of them, this is my favorite. Jastrow again, the first guy I mentioned. He says, for the scientist who has, now listen to it, pay attention. I think you would love it too. He says, for the scientist who has lived by faith in the power of reason, not faith in God, faith in power of reason, the story of creation of the universe ends like a bad dream. And what does it mean? He said he has scaled the mountains of ignorance, he is able to conquer, he is about to conquer the highest peak of the mountain. As he pulls himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries. I think this is just this is the most I don't know, I just love this quote. Accurate, and a number of ways a number of reasons I love this quote. But did we get that quote? Basically, scientists for years have been trying to mount to trust in their reason, trying to look for evidences for creation and the supernatural, and then having found all the evidence that they need, they will bring themselves over the last rock of the mountain of ignorance that they are climbing, and on the top of the road they will find theologians who have been sitting on that mountain for centuries. Do you get it now? I just think this is my favorite quotes out of all the quotes that I've mentioned, and it just points us to the fact that the cosmological argument, which is the study of the cosmos, that we can take the cosmos to prove that God actually is the cause of the cosmos. Ah, my God, look at that, cause of the cosmos. Anyway, don't mind me. Is the cause of the universe. And how do we know this? If the universe came to be, the cause must be supernatural, must be timeless, because supernatural because beyond nature, timeless because it's outside of time, spaceless because it's outside of space, immaterial because it's outside of matter. It must be personal to decide to create. It must be intelligent to create with such precision. That's the second point we are going to look at now. It must be self-existent rather, because it exists outside of the universe. And that's the cosmological argument, guy. I think it's one of the most interesting arguments for the existence of God, and that's why we spent a lot of time on it. So did you get it? If you get it, please let me know. Just tell me I get it. I will move on to the second argument. For if you have your questions, if there's a question that you want to ask, don't be shy. Check the buttons on the live. You'll find a question mark there. That's question and answer. You can type in your questions there. They will store it there. I will answer all the questions that you may have at the end of the live. All right. Second argument for the existence of God is called intelligent design, or design for short. And it goes like this. If you look at everything in nature, everything in the universe, it seems that everything is intelligently designed. There's an intelligent design in everything. And what do I mean by this? It means that if you look intently at the universe, you find certain things that could not have been as a lot of atheists argue, could not have been as a result of accident or a cosmological accident that happened at the Big Bang, but rather that it points to the fact that there has to be an intentionality behind it. So I'll mention some examples. So the intelligent design says that the design of living systems and even non-living systems or elements of the universe suggests a designer. So for example, I'll just mention some examples so that we would understand what I'm saying. Gravity. Gravity is what holds the universe together, is what holds our solar system together, gravity is what keeps the moon close to Earth. Gravity is even what keeps us on Earth. If there was no gravity, all of us would have flown away into space. The atmosphere in our on the planet would not be existent because there is no gravity. Now, notice this. Gravity is, as discoveries found, is as precisely as strong as it should be. What does this mean? If gravity was a little bit stronger, just slightly stronger, the universe would collapse into a ball. Because things will start pulling themselves more than they should. If gravity universe was slightly stronger, the universe will collapse into a ball. And if it was slightly weaker, the universe will fly apart into oblivion. So it's that precision suggests, it's quite interesting to note, isn't it? That gravity is so precise. If it was a cosmological argument or accident rather, the precision is accurate and is high. Are you getting it? The precision is high, to say that if gravity was slightly weaker, everything will fly away right into space. If it was slightly stronger, it will collapse into a ball. Second, galaxy seeds that I mentioned in the SURGE argument. The G is for galaxy seeds. Now, the seeds show that the expansion, the seeds are basically fluctuations in the radiation afterglow. That is in the radiation afterglow, that is the heat that is still remaining in the universe from the Big Bang. But the fluctuations are very precisely, and I said already that the fluctuations, that is these seeds, the reason why they are called seeds is because they are responsible for the creation of galaxies, right? Now, if the seeds were designed slightly different, galaxies will not form. So in fact, I'm reading this quote now. It says the seeds show that the explosion and expansion of the universe was precisely adjusted to cause just enough matter to form galaxies, but not enough to cause the universe to collapse back on itself. What it means is that the galaxy seeds were just enough to cause galaxies to form, and if for anything at all they were more than they were at that time, the universe will collapse into itself. That's the second thing: gravity, galaxy seeds. Number 3, our solar system. Our solar system, we are on planet Earth. For those that may not have this idea, we are on planet Earth. The Earth, the world that we live in, is in a solar system. Our solar system is in a galaxy, and the galaxy is in the universe. Now, our solar system consists of Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. They have removed Pluto from it. Our solar system is particularly placed in our galaxy that we can avoid collisions from other planets and other stars. So if you look into galaxies, you will see collisions with stars, stars colliding into each other, and planets as well. But for the thousands and thousands of years, right, or as long as the Earth has remained, we have not collided into a star. And observing the galaxy, we are the place where we are least likely. The solar system is strategically placed where we are least likely to collide into a star or collide into anything at all. Now, again, when we look at the complex and intricate nature of organisms, like the intricate complexity of the human body to start with. Some of you study, medical related courses can relate how the human body is intricately designed. And it's not only the human body, nearly all the living organisms on Earth are designed with complexity, yet so intricate that everything is depending on each other and they are working accurately. Could it have been an accident that caused that to happen? Could it have been an accident that caused that to happen? Guys, I guess what I'm saying. If you get me, tell me you get me. Could it have been an accident that caused that to happen? Now, look at the interdependencies again between plants and between the living organisms in the world on Earth. Plants, we are talking biology. Plants exude Plants exude oxygen and consume carbon dioxide, while animals do the opposite. Now, if theoretically speaking, hypothetically speaking, that we suddenly removed all plant life from Earth, it won't be long. All plant life from Earth, everything that is plant and green that does photosynthesis, we remove them. It won't be long that mammals will die, the animals, including us, will die, because plants are the major source of oxygen on Earth. Now look at the interdependencies. I don't know what you think. I personally don't think that the argument that all of this came together as series of cosmological accidents makes sense, because the design is too detailed and precise for it to make sense that no intelligent designer or intelligent mind intentionally designed all of this as precisely as it should be. Look at gravity. precisely as it should be. Look at, and if it was less, the amount slightly less, then the universe will not be as it is. It was slightly more, the universe will not be as it is. Do you get it now? Do you see what I'm saying? Alright? Do you see what I'm saying? The universe will not be as it should. Now all of these intricacies point to the fact that there has to be an intelligent designer. Now listen to what another Nobel Prize winner of modern physics, Max Planck, says. He says, I'm quoting authorities so that we know that all of these things are not just good ideas. They are things that have been agreed on by scientists to a large extent. And so this scientist, Max Planck, now goes on to say, he's a Nobel Prize winner also and founder of modern physics, as this article puts it. He says, according to everything taught by the exact sciences about the immense realm of nature, a certain order prevails, one independent of the human mind. This order can be formulated in terms of purposeful activity. There is evidence of an intelligent order of the universe to which both man and nature are subservient. What he's saying in simple terms is that if you look at nature and look at the universe, the order is too precise. The order is too precise for it not to be intelligent, for it not to be caused by an intelligent mind or power. Do you get it? It is too precise for it to be caused by a cosmological argument. It is too precise. Too precise. Alright. So that's what intelligent design says, that the intricacies and precision of the universe could not be explained by a cosmological argument posed by the Big Bang, but rather it has to be by an intelligent mind. And of course, evidence might lead us to conclude that the intelligent mind could very much be God. Could very much be God. Right? As it relates to the cosmological argument as well. Could very much be God. Number 3, and if the cosmological argument is true, right, then easily would we accept the intelligent design argument. Does that make sense? If the cosmological argument is true, easily would we accept the intelligent design argument. Now, the last argument, the third argument for the existence of God, and it's called the moral argument or morality. The moral argument. And what does this mean? It basically tells us how to consider what our moral standards are. Now, everyone on this call, just pick your favorite country in mind. Just go ahead. As you are listening to me, just think about your favorite country, that dream place that you've always dreamt of going to. Now, imagine that I was the president, I was all powerful, I was probably the overall ruler of all the nations of the world. That's me. And then I decide to drop a nuclear bomb or an atomic bomb on that particular favorite country that you have in mind. They didn't do me anything. I just because I'm powerful, I just feel like, let me have some fun today, so let me drop a bomb on that place. Tell me in the comments, is that right or wrong? Do you think that is right, like morally right or wrong? Do you think that's morally right or wrong? I'll wait for our answers. We're almost done. This is the last argument, and we are closing for the night. Thank you for your patience thus far. Do you think that's morally right or wrong? It is, of course, it is obviously contingent, right, that it is wrong to do that. But how do you know it is wrong? How do you know that it is wrong to bomb an innocent people and displace innocent citizens of a country? By what standards would we say it is wrong? This is the moral argument, basically saying that where does our morality come from? So if somebody believes that morality is objective, because now everybody that is saying that it is wrong would say that everybody in the world should agree that it is wrong. Why? Because we believe that morality is objective. Now, if we believe that morality is objective, then it requires an explanation. If it is objective, who is the authority for morality? Where does it come from? And I personally don't think like it cannot come. It cannot. How do I say this now, Holy Ghost? It cannot. We cannot say accurately that moral objectivity comes from human beings. And why do I say that? Because by what explanation will we say there was no what's it called now? By what observations will we say that human beings originated good and bad? It is just an intrinsic and inherent understanding in every human being that you see something that is wrong and you say, this is wrong. So I had an experience when I was growing up. I was still very young. I think I was still a toddler, but it's still vivid in my memory. I was playing with my younger sister. We were on a playground. I know she had a very small and cute chair or a stool, because they were very, very small and cute. I think it was still blue or something. I can still remember on the playground, and then she was playing with sand, the children playground. She was playing with sand, cooking up stuff and doing all of those things. And then she sat on the chair, but then at some point she stood up to do something. And I personally, I didn't intend to do evil. To be honest, I did not. I didn't know. I'm not sure I knew that she was going to sit down back. So what I did was, as she stood up, I just took the chair, right? And she was not aware that I took the chair. Follow. So as I saw that, she was making a move to sit down back. You know how, I don't know if it's happened to other people, you know how something that is tragic wants to happen, and then it's as if all of those things is playing in slow motion in your mind. That was how it happened to me. So it was as if I saw her in slow motion sitting down and the chair was not there. And what happened to me? I had a prick in my heart. Like, it was as if I have done evil, and I just knew that I'm an evil person. Do you get, like, I just did it because she obviously she fell down and then she was upset and all of those things. Now, I just had a prick in my heart. Nobody told me that was evil. I didn't go, I was still a toddler. Nobody has schooled me that, to do that is bad. It was just intrinsic and inherent, and many of us can relate to what I'm saying. That there are just thoughts that nobody taught you it was bad. As you were growing up or a toddler, you would notice that you never told a toddler that what you are doing is bad and what you are doing is good. They just know that once they do it, they will hide it and not tell you. Nobody told them that it was bad. So you see that intrinsic understanding of moral right or wrong is in all humans. But where did it come from? And when I said that, morality, if we say morality is objective, it needs an explanation. An explanation could not be, where we cannot say that it is based on how we feel. Because, I did something bad. Inherently, I did something bad, and then I felt bad about it. Morality cannot be said that it's based on how I felt about it. Why? Because would you say such a thing to a sociopath or a psychopath or a mad person? Because such a person, we've had many instances, especially in the US, where a guy would just enter a classroom of young people and spray them with bullets because he felt like it. So the explanation cannot be that it is how we feel that objective morality comes from, because feelings are not objective. They are subjective to human beings. So if we say that morality is objective, we will say that, the laws of the land, there are many laws of many countries that clearly states good and bad. Where do these things come from? If it's not based on how we feel, then what is the explanation for it rather? If not, that there has to be an authority that is transcendent, that is beyond us, that tells us in our hearts what good and bad is, that has informed us and has stated these things. that they are good and bad. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? It could not have been that, we just decided, we just woke up. Because if we all of us just woke up, or we just woke up one morning and say, this thing is good, this thing is bad, then we will all have different opinions. But the fact that we can say that there's an objective moral stand points to the fact that it has to be beyond us. It has to be beyond us. Look at the value that we place on human beings. If let me use somebody's name now. If Jewel, for example, Jewel, don't worry, you will not drown. If Jewel, for example, was drowning, right, Tomilayo, I want you. Jewel is somebody that is watching the live as well. Tomilayo, I want you to answer, and every other person. If Jewel was drowning and the dog was drowning, because a lot of people love dogs, who would you place more value on saving first between Jewel and the dog? Obviously, the uniform answer would be Jewel, right? Majimi Tomura is a good person. Right? And what do I even categorize as good? Our moral objectivity. Guys, do we get the gist now? We get the gist now, Abi. Our moral objectivity points us to the fact that we know we are able to say what is good and what is not. But moral objectivity cannot come from us. Because now here what the Stanford Encyclopedia of Psychology says, or philosophy rather, says. They say, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy says that, thank you, she'll save Joe. Now, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy says that the fact that we humans are aware of moral facts it's itself surprising and calls for explanation. Why is it surprising? Because you know yourself. At some point or the other, you've thought evil concerning somebody before. At some point or the other, you've thought evil concerning other people. So the fact that we now come, we who are inherently evil, will exhibit from time to time, we exhibit evil tendencies. We now come to say that, morality has to be objective. By whose standards? By your standard. Do you get the gist? So, University of Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy says the fact that we are aware of moral facts, it is itself surprising and calls for explanation. And what would I say the explanation is? That there has to be a transcendent power and authority that tells us what moral rights is and what moral rights is not. So there has to be a moral power that is objectively moral in itself and exceedingly good, that we're able to point us to what is objectively moral and exceedingly good. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? So I think we have come to the end of the arguments for the existence of God, and this has been an amazing time. There's going to be a part 2 to this. I didn't even know that we're going to spend up to this much. I was thinking 1.5 hours, but look at where we are. There's going to be a part 2 to this. There is an argument against the existence of God, and I think the biggest argument against the existence of God, and we are going to examine that next month. So the defense series is once a month, right? This is the first one, January. In February, we are going to do Finding God Part 2, but it's not going to be is God real or is there a God, as the subtopic is. It's going to be Finding God something else, right? Just wait till the flyer and the announcement comes out. It'll be Finding God Part 2, then something else. But then this are the arguments for the existence of God that we've examined, and I think we'll be able to convincingly say that God does exist. If you missed any part of this and you are watching right now, I'm going to save this on my page so you can come back to it to watch. Right, you can come back to it to watch, and as such, I'm just going to give a quick recap of this. If you have any question, please just drop it as I'm giving a recap. I'll be available to ask you. If it's related, slightly related, or even unrelated, or just feel like you want to ask concerning or I said something I really get or something in your mind that you've heard about this before that you now want to ask concerning God and all of these things, let me know. All right. So I'll give a recap. We have 3 arguments for the existence of God. What are the arguments? The cosmological argument, as the name implies, it points to the cosmos, that is the universe, and takes the fact that the universe has a beginning to point us to the fact that if it has a beginning, according to the law of causality, it must have a beginner or somebody that made it to begin to happen. So cosmological arguments points to the universe to show us that if the universe started existing at some point, then it must have started existing at some point, then it must have somebody that caused it to happen. Somebody that caused it to happen, or something that caused it to happen. The second argument is the intelligent design. We looked at the fact that the universe is so intricately designed, and it could not have been the intricacies or the precision could not have been as a result of a cosmological argument or a cosmic accident, rather, because accidents most likely do not form precision. And based on the fact that the precision is not just 1, it's not just 2, is a lot. Looking at nature, plants and animals, the complexity in the organization and living things, the complexity that exists therein, and the position of our solar system in the galaxy, gravity, great galaxy seeds, all of those precise arrangements, and they are overwhelmingly numerous. To say that maybe one is precise and the other ones are not, the overwhelmingly numerous, it just points us to the fact that it could not be a cosmological argument that caused all of these things. And then number 3, the moral argument for God. Where does morality come from? Without a creator God, we cannot. I saw our time is up. Should I say this? Just as a bonus, right? So there was a video I saw of an atheist. It was doing a TED talk, and then it says that human rights are just a story. As I'm saying, don't even emotionally think about it. How can you say that human rights are not a story? Are just a story? But if without a belief in God, it is consistent to say that morality is false. Morality is just fiction. Human rights is false, right? Without a creator God, we cannot objectively answer the question of morality. How should we behave? What is right and what is wrong? Otherwise, if there is no creator God, everything is an opinion. Do we get it? So that's the summary of the moral argument for God. Where does our morality come from? If we say we are moral beings, our morality cannot come from us, because intrinsically we are not all that moral. We do immoral things from time to time. We think evil thoughts from time to time. Do we get the gist? So yeah, that's the top 3 arguments for the existence of God. Surprisingly, it took us almost 2 hours to unpack that, but I'm grateful for everyone that stayed to the end. Thank you. If you have any question at all to ask, right, I'll give a few seconds to ask. If not, if you have any question after, you can come into my DM on Instagram and ask it. All right, or but thank you for everyone who, if you are still here, just drop an emoji so I can see you. If you are still here, just drop an emoji so that I can see you and know that you are still very much here. Thank you everyone for staying till this point. Thank you for staying till this point. If you are here, just drop in an emoji. I'm waiting for our emojis. All right, thank you very much. I'll take it that we have no question. So see you next month. We'll do the part 2 of finding God next month. Wait for the announcement to come. Thank you, Precious. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Tommy, and everyone else that is still here. So this is the end of the defense series for January 2024. I think it has been an amazing time. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who stayed to the end, everyone who publicized, everyone who told somebody about it. Thank you very much. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Have a lovely night, everyone. See you next month.